My beloved brothers and sisters, have you ever asked yourself, why is it that the most honest people, the most sincere, the most loving, are sometimes the very ones who are mocked, rejected, and even hated? You try to be good, you try to spread kindness, you want the best for everyone, yet people turn against you. Does it mean you are wrong? Absolutely not. In fact, it could be the greatest sign that Allah loves you. The very first reason why good people are hated is because truth exposes falsehood. You see, when you choose to stand upon truth, when you live with honesty, when you refuse to compromise on what is right, you will automatically make those who thrive on lies, deception, and injustice uncomfortable. Your existence becomes a reminder of what they are doing wrong. Think about it. When a candle is lit in a dark room, the light does not ask permission from the darkness to shine. It simply shines. But the darkness cannot remain in the same way anymore. And those who love the darkness, those who benefit from it, they dislike the presence of light. Similarly, a truthful person becomes like that candle, bright, pure, and exposing what is around them. And because of this, those who wish to remain in falsehood will dislike them. This is why every prophet of Allah faced hatred. They did not steal, they did not cheat, they did not harm anyone unjustly. They came with nothing but goodness. Yet they were mocked, rejected, and even fought against. Why? Because the truth they brought exposed the corruption, the arrogance, and the injustice of their people. Take the example of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. He was sent to Pharaoh, who was the most arrogant tyrant of his time. Musa, peace be upon him, came with signs, with clear truth, with nothing but goodness. Did Pharaoh love him for it? No. Pharaoh hated him. Why? Because Musa exposed his lies. He reminded Pharaoh and his people that there is only one true God, Allah, and that Pharaoh was not divine, no matter how much he claimed it. Pharaoh thrived on people's ignorance and fear, and Musa, peace be upon him, was like a bright light exposing that falsehood. That is why he was hated. The same pattern continued with every prophet. Prophet Isa, Jesus, peace be upon him, healed the sick, gave sight to the blind by the permission of Allah, revived the dead by Allah's permission, and yet people plotted to kill him. Why? Because he challenged the corruption of the leaders of his time. His goodness exposed their evil, and instead of correcting themselves, they hated him. And of course, the most perfect example is our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was known even before prophethood as Al-Amin, the trustworthy one, the honest one. His people respected him greatly. But the moment he began calling towards the oneness of Allah, the moment he began speaking against idols, against injustice, against corruption, suddenly the same people turned against him. They called him a liar, a madman, a magician. They persecuted him and his followers. Why? Because his truth exposed their lies. His call to worship Allah alone threatened their power and their wealth. So my brothers and sisters, when you choose to live truthfully, understand that you too will face this. When you refuse to engage in corruption at work, when you speak the truth in your family, when you stand up against injustice in society, don't be surprised if people dislike you. It's not because you are wrong, it's because your truthfulness makes their falsehood uncomfortable. But here is something beautiful to remember. If people hate you for the truth, Allah loves you for it. Allah tells us in the Quran that He is with those who are truthful. And when Allah is with you, it doesn't matter who is against you. Think about the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Despite all the hatred he faced, he never stopped speaking the truth. Even when they offered him wealth, leadership, and power just so he would remain silent about Islam, he said, "If you place the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left hand, I will not abandon this mission." This is the courage of truth. And this is why he was hated by many but loved by Allah and ultimately victorious. Now let us bring this lesson closer to our daily lives. Imagine a workplace where everyone is cutting corners, cheating in small ways, lying to clients, or covering up mistakes. And then you come along and refuse to do the same. Suddenly people might start disliking you, not because you harmed them, but because your integrity highlights their dishonesty. Your truth makes their falsehood look worse. And instead of being inspired to change, some people will choose to dislike you. Or consider within families when you advise your loved ones with sincerity, reminding them to pray, to avoid haram, to live honestly. Sometimes they will react with anger, not because you are wrong, but because deep down your reminder awakens something they don't want to face. This is exactly what happened to the prophets with their people. The message was simple, pure, and true, but people rejected it because it clashed with their desires. So my brothers and sisters, do not be surprised if people dislike you for speaking or living by the truth. In fact, it is a sign that you are walking on the path of the prophets. But at the same time, remember to balance truth with wisdom and kindness. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that truth must be spoken in a way that brings benefit, not unnecessary harm. So while you stand firm on what is right, always do it with wisdom, patience and compassion. The lesson here is simple but powerful. The moment you choose truth, you will expose falsehood. And when falsehood is exposed, it resists. That resistance often comes in the form of hatred. But that hatred, if borne with patience, becomes a means of reward, closeness to Allah, and honor in this world and the next. So the next time you face hatred for being honest, for being upright, for being good, remind yourself, this is the same path walked by Musa, by Isa, by Muhammad, peace be upon them all. And if Allah was with them, He will be with you too. Another powerful reason why good people are hated is this: your goodness reminds others of their shortcomings. This is a reality of life. When you strive to do what is right, to be honest, kind, forgiving and upright, your very existence becomes a silent reminder to others of what they are not doing. And not everyone is willing to face that mirror. Instead of saying, let me improve myself, they find it easier to say, I don't like this person. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine a group of friends, and in that group everyone is neglectful of prayer. They go out, they have fun, but none of them take salah seriously. Now one of them suddenly changes. He decides to pray 5 times a day, to attend the masjid when he can, to make dua sincerely. What happens? Immediately the rest of the group feels uncomfortable. They see him praying and they realize deep down that they too should be praying. But instead of joining him, some may mock him. They might say, look at him, becoming so religious all of a sudden. They might even start keeping distance from him. Why? Because his goodness reminded them of their neglect. And instead of correcting themselves, they chose to resent him. This is not new. It has happened throughout history. In the Quran, Allah tells us that when the prophets came to their people with guidance, the people often responded with mockery, rejection and hatred. Not because the message was evil, but because the message exposed their laziness, their arrogance and their sins. The Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, called his people for centuries. His message was simple: worship Allah alone, stop your corruption, turn back to your Lord. But the people did not like him. They mocked him, insulted him and rejected him. Why? Because his goodness highlighted their shortcomings. His call to worship Allah reminded them that their idols were false. His patience and perseverance reminded them of their arrogance and stubbornness. Instead of changing, they hated him. The same was true with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Before he received revelation, his people admired him. They called him Al-Amin, the trustworthy, the truthful. But the moment he began to call towards Islam, the same people turned against him. Why? Because his honesty and goodness exposed the corruption in their ways. His worship of Allah exposed their idolatry. His fairness and justice exposed their exploitation of the weak. And instead of improving, they chose to hate him. My brothers and sisters, this is human nature. Sometimes when you shine too brightly, those who are in the dark become uncomfortable. And instead of coming closer to the light, they want to dim your light. Your kindness reminds them of their harshness. Your honesty reminds them of their dishonesty. Your modesty reminds them of their shamelessness. And because they are not ready to change, they choose to dislike you. This is why the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us not to be surprised when we are disliked for doing good. In fact, he said, Islam began as something strange and it will return to being strange. So give glad tidings to the strangers. Who are these strangers? They are the ones who remain good, sincere and upright, even when the majority are not. They are the ones who are mocked, sidelined and even hated. But in the sight of Allah, they are the successful ones. Think about it in your daily life. When you refuse to gossip, when you hold back from backbiting, you remind others that what they are doing is wrong. They may dislike you for it. When you choose to dress modestly in a society that promotes immodesty, some people may mock you. Why? Because your modesty reminds them of what they lack. When you refuse to engage in haram business practices, others may call you foolish. Why? Because your honesty is a reminder of their dishonesty. But here's something important. When people dislike you for your goodness, it doesn't mean you should stop being good. It means you should remain consistent, because Allah sees you. And while people may be upset with you, Allah is pleased with you. And what is more important, the temporary approval of people or the eternal pleasure of Allah. Remember, my brothers and sisters, that goodness is never wasted. Even if people do not appreciate it, Allah appreciates it. Even if people mock you, Allah honors you. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, whoever humbles himself for the sake of Allah, Allah will raise him. So when your goodness makes others uncomfortable, do not let it discourage you. Instead, let it remind you that you are on the right path. I want you to think of it like this. If you are in a room full of people sitting down and you choose to stand up, everyone will notice you. Not because standing is wrong, but because you did something different. Similarly, when you rise above wrongdoing, you will be noticed and not everyone will like it, but Allah will love it. So the next time someone dislikes you for praying, for being honest, for being kind, or for holding on to your values, don't take it personally. Understand that their dislike is not really about you, it is about them. Your goodness has reminded them of their shortcomings and they are not ready to face it. Remain patient, remain humble, and continue being good. Because goodness is not about how people respond, it is about remaining sincere for the sake of Allah. And when you are sincere, even if the entire world dislikes you, Allah will love you. And when Allah loves you, you have everything. One of the greatest reasons why good people are hated is because of jealousy, what we call hasad in Arabic. Jealousy is something so dangerous, so destructive, that Allah Himself warned us against it in the Quran. In Surah Al-Falaq, which we are encouraged to recite for protection, Allah teaches us to seek refuge from the evil of the envier when he envies. That means envy is not just a feeling, it is an evil that can harm both the person who envies and the one who is envied. You see, jealousy happens when someone looks at the blessing you have and feels pain inside, not because they want to achieve it themselves, but because they don't want you to have it. And this is why good people are hated. They may be blessed with peace, with honesty, with respect, with knowledge, or simply with the love of others. And those who cannot handle seeing this begin to dislike them, not because of what they have done wrong, but because of what Allah has given them. Think about the very first crime committed on earth, the story of the two sons of Adam, peace be upon him. One of them offered a sacrifice sincerely for the sake of Allah, and Allah accepted it. The other brother offered a sacrifice insincerely, and Allah did not accept it. Instead of correcting himself, jealousy filled his heart. He became angry not at himself but at his brother. That jealousy led him to commit the first murder in history. And Allah tells us this story in the Quran as a reminder of the destructive power of envy. Look also at the story of Prophet Joseph, peace be upon him. His own brothers plotted against him. Why? Because their father Jacob, peace be upon him, showed love and affection to Yusuf. Out of jealousy, they threw him into a well, planning to get rid of him. They could not bear that their brother was blessed, that he was loved, that Allah had granted him qualities of beauty, purity and wisdom even as a young boy. And the story does not stop there. Even later, when Yusuf, peace be upon him, was blessed in Egypt, people around him envied him. It was jealousy that led to false accusations and imprisonment. Yet through all of this, Yusuf, peace be upon him, remained steadfast, patient and close to Allah. And in the end, Allah raised him in rank, while the jealousy of others only harmed themselves. My brothers and sisters, jealousy is a disease of the heart, and unfortunately, it often targets those who are good. Because when someone sees your good character, your kindness, your humility, or your closeness to Allah, they wish they could have it. But instead of striving for it, they resent you for it. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned us about jealousy. He said, beware of envy, for indeed envy consumes good deeds just as fire consumes dry wood. Imagine that. A person may pray, may fast, may give charity, but if their heart is full of jealousy, that jealousy will eat away at their good deeds. And the saddest part is that jealousy never benefits the one who has it. It only brings them misery. But here is where the lesson becomes important for you and me. If people are jealous of you, do not let it break you. Do not let it stop you from being good. Because jealousy is not really about you, it is about them. They are struggling with their own insecurities, their own dissatisfaction, their own lack of gratitude to Allah. And instead of turning to Allah for help, they are directing their frustration at you. Sometimes people envy you, not for material wealth, but for something far greater. They may envy your peace of mind, your contentment, your ability to forgive, your reputation, or even the love that Allah places in people's hearts for you. These are blessings money cannot buy, and so jealousy burns even deeper. But remember, Allah is the one who gives blessings. And if He gave you something, no one can take it away unless Allah wills. So when people are jealous of you, they are essentially objecting to Allah's decree. They are saying, why does he have this? Why does she have that? Instead of being content with what Allah has given them. As for you, when you feel the sting of envy directed your way, do two things. First, protect yourself by reciting the du'as taught by the Prophet, peace be upon him, especially Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas. Second, increase your gratitude to Allah, because the more grateful you are, the more Allah increases your blessings. And no amount of jealousy from others can stop what Allah has written for you. Now let's bring this lesson closer to our daily lives. Imagine a student in school who studies hard, respects teachers, and does well in exams. Instead of being happy for him, some classmates may dislike him. Why? Because his effort and success remind them of their own laziness. They don't want to work hard, so they attack the one who did. That is jealousy. Or in the workplace, when someone is honest, hard-working, and gets promoted, others may start spreading rumors. They might say he's just lucky, or she must have cheated, instead of recognizing their own shortcomings. That is jealousy. Or in family life, when one sibling is blessed with peace, happiness, or righteous children, others may resent them. They might not say it aloud, but their actions show it. This is the reality of jealousy. It often exists where you least expect it. My brothers and sisters, remember this. People hated the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, not because he was bad, but because he was good. They envied his respect, his trustworthiness, his influence, and the love Allah placed in the hearts of people for him. They could not handle it. And if the most beloved to Allah was envied, do not be surprised if you are envied too. So do not let the jealousy of others shake you. Do not reduce your goodness. Do not hide your blessings. And do not let their envy dictate your happiness. Keep being grateful, keep being sincere, and keep turning to Allah. Because at the end of the day, jealousy harms the one who carries it, not the one who is envied. And if you ever feel jealousy creeping into your own heart, fight it. Make dua for the one you feel jealous of. Remind yourself that Allah has infinite treasures and His blessings are not limited. What someone else has does not reduce what you can have. Allah is generous and there is enough for everyone. So the lesson is clear. Jealousy is real and it is one of the main reasons good people are hated. But if you are envied, know that it is a test, and if you handle it with patience and gratitude, Allah will raise you just as He raised Yusuf, peace be upon him. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most important truths we must all understand is that hatred towards good people is not something new. It is not something unique to you or me. It is not a sign that you are failing or doing something wrong. In fact, it is the opposite. It is a sign that you are following in the footsteps of the prophets of Allah. Every single prophet that Allah sent was a good person, the best of people, chosen and purified. And yet every single one of them faced hatred, mockery and rejection. That is why when you face hatred for being good, you should remind yourself, this is the sunnah, the way of the prophets. Think about it. Prophet Noah, peace be upon him, spent more than 900 years calling his people to Allah. Imagine the patience, the sincerity, the dedication. He wanted nothing for himself. He was not asking them for wealth, for power, for recognition. All he wanted was for them to worship Allah, to be saved from destruction. And what did his people do? They laughed at him. They mocked him. They put their fingers in their ears when he spoke. They even warned others not to listen to him. Here was a man who spent centuries caring about his people, yet he was hated. And Allah tells us his story so that we do not feel alone when people treat us in a similar way. Then look at Prophet Ibrahim. Abraham, peace be upon him, a man of pure heart who loved Allah, who was gentle in his approach. When he spoke to his father, he spoke with respect, saying, "O my father, why do you worship that which does not hear, does not see, and cannot benefit you in anything?" He called his people to the worship of Allah with wisdom. Yet what was their reaction? They hated him. They tried to burn him alive simply because he destroyed their idols and stood against falsehood. Imagine that. Hatred so strong, they built a fire so massive, it was said that even birds could not fly over it, and they cast him into it, all because he was good. Consider Prophet Musa, Moses, peace be upon him. He stood against one of the greatest tyrants in history, Pharaoh. Musa came with clear signs from Allah, with miracles, with proofs, and he wanted nothing but the freedom of his people and the establishment of justice. Yet Pharaoh hated him, mocked him, and tried to kill him. Why? Because truth exposes falsehood and goodness exposes tyranny. And just as Pharaoh hated Musa, so too tyrants throughout history have hated those who speak the truth and live by goodness. And then we come to Prophet Isa, Jesus, peace be upon him, a man who healed the blind, cured the sick, and revived the dead by the permission of Allah. A man of compassion, of mercy, of purity. Yet what did many of his people do? They accused him of lies, they plotted against him, and they hated him. He was a man of peace, yet he faced hatred and opposition. Again, not because he was wrong, but because he was right. And the greatest example for us, our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Before revelation, he was known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, the honest. People would leave their valuables with him because they trusted him completely. Yet the moment he began to call to Allah, to challenge idolatry, to speak against injustice, the very same people turned on him. They insulted him, calling him a magician, a madman, a liar. They persecuted him and his companions. They tortured the early Muslims. They boycotted them, leaving them to starve in the valley of Makkah. They tried to assassinate him multiple times. And why? Because he was good, because he stood for truth, because his purity made their corruption unbearable. Now I want you to reflect on this, my brothers and sisters. If the best of creation, Muhammad, peace be upon him, was hated, do you really think you and I will be spared? If a man who was the most merciful, the most gentle, the most truthful, faced hatred, then what about us? This is why the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the most severely tested of people are the prophets, then those closest to them, then those closest to them. The hatred and opposition that you may face when you try to be good is not a punishment, it is not a failure, it is a sign that you are on the same path walked by the prophets of Allah. Sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that if people dislike us, it must mean we are doing something wrong. But the stories of the prophets show us that this is not always the case. Sometimes people dislike you precisely because you are doing something right. Your prayer, your honesty, your refusal to compromise on your values, your kindness, all of these may be reasons people turn against you, just as they turned against the prophets. But here is the difference. When people hated the prophets, Allah loved them. When people rejected them, Allah raised them. When people plotted against them, Allah protected them. And the same will happen for you. If you remain patient, if you remain sincere, if you continue doing good even when people oppose you, Allah will be with you. And if Allah is with you, who can be against you? Think of how the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was forced to leave his beloved city of Makkah, the city he was born in, the city he loved so dearly. He left not because he wanted to, but because of hatred, because of persecution. Yet when he returned years later, he did not return with revenge. He returned with forgiveness. He said to the very people who hated him, "Go, for you are free." This is the greatness of goodness. Hatred did not change him. Opposition did not make him bitter. He remained true to his character, and that is why Allah gave him victory. My brothers and sisters, when you are hated for being good, remember that this is the sunnah of the prophets. It is the way of those whom Allah loves most. It is a sign that you are walking a noble path. Yes, it hurts when people dislike you, when they mock you, when they oppose you. But let that pain remind you that you are not alone. Noah went through it. Ibrahim went through it. Musa went through it. Isa went through it. Muhammad, peace be upon them all, went through it. And if they went through it and Allah was with them, then Allah will be with you too. So do not let hatred break you. Do not let opposition silence you. Continue to be good. Continue to be truthful. Continue to stand for what is right. And know that every insult, every rejection, every moment of opposition is recorded by Allah. And on the day of judgment, it will be a means of your reward. Hatred from people can never erase the love of Allah. And if Allah loves you, nothing else matters. One of the greatest reasons why good people are hated is because Allah is testing their sincerity. This is something we often overlook. We think hatred is simply about people disliking us. We think mockery is about others being cruel. But in reality, many times it is Allah's way of testing us, of purifying us, of measuring the depth of our sincerity. Are we doing good for the sake of Allah, or are we doing it for people? Are we kind because we want Allah's reward, or because we want the approval of society? Are we upright because it pleases Allah, or because it makes us look good in the eyes of others? These questions are answered not when life is easy, but when life becomes difficult. It is very simple to do good when people applaud you. It is very easy to remain honest when everyone respects you for it. It is very easy to pray in the masjid when everyone looks up to you as a role model. But what happens when the applause turns into criticism? What happens when the respect turns into mockery? What happens when your goodness is met not with gratitude but with hatred? That is the moment your sincerity is tested. That is the moment Allah looks at your heart and asks, are you still going to do it for me? Think of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Before revelation, people loved him. They trusted him. They admired his character. But the moment he began calling people to Islam, that love turned into hatred. And yet did he stop? No. Why? Because his mission was for Allah, not for people. His sincerity was proven in the most difficult of times. He faced insults, he faced stones, he faced boycott, he faced war. But none of this stopped him because he was doing it for Allah alone. If his mission was about gaining popularity, he would have stopped the moment the popularity disappeared. But because his mission was about Allah, he continued, no matter the cost. The same is true for us in our small ways. Imagine a person who decides to start praying 5 times a day. At first, some family members might admire them. But then as time passes, others might mock them. They might say, you've become too religious, or stop showing off. Now that person has a choice. Do they stop praying to please people, or do they continue praying for the sake of Allah? That is the test of sincerity. Or think of someone who chooses to wear hijab. At first, some may praise her courage, but then others might criticize her. They might say hurtful words. They might mock her choice. Now the test of sincerity begins. Is she wearing it because it pleases Allah, or was she wearing it because she wanted to be praised? If it is for Allah, no amount of hatred will make her remove it. If it was for people, then the moment hatred appears, the hijab disappears. This is why hatred, my brothers and sisters, can actually be a gift. It strips away all false intentions. It forces you to examine your heart. It makes you ask yourself, why am I really doing this? And if the answer is, I am doing it for Allah, then you will continue. If the answer is anything else, then you will stop. Hatred reveals your sincerity or your lack of it. Allah tells us in the Quran, do the people think that they will be left to say, we believe, and they will not be tested? Belief will always be tested. Goodness will always be tested. And one of the ways Allah tests it is through the hatred of others. Because when people hate you, when they mock you, when they try to discourage you, it becomes clear whether you are doing it for Allah or for them. Think of the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Many of them faced hatred from their own families. Some were tortured, some were killed. Why? Because they said, La ilaha illa Allah. And yet they remained steadfast. Bilal, may Allah be pleased with him, was dragged through the streets of Makkah, beaten under the hot sun with a heavy stone placed on his chest. They wanted him to give up Islam. But what did he say? Ahad, Ahad, one. He was being tested and his sincerity was proven. He was not Muslim for the approval of society. He was Muslim for the sake of Allah. Now let us bring this to our daily lives. When you refuse to engage in corruption at work, you might be hated by colleagues who see you as an obstacle. When you advise your family kindly about Islam, some may push you away. When you choose to be modest, people might mock you. When you stand for justice, others may attack you. In every one of these moments, Allah is testing you. Will you continue or will you give up? Are you sincere or are you superficial? And here is something important to understand. Sincerity is not just about continuing when others hate you. It is also about continuing without hating them back. Because sometimes the real test is not just to keep doing good, but to keep your heart clean while doing it. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, forgave those who hurt him. He prayed for those who mocked him. He remained gentle with those who hated him. Why? Because his sincerity was for Allah, not for revenge, not for ego, not for pride. This is why hatred can become a purifier. It removes arrogance, it removes pride, it removes the desire for recognition. When you realize people will dislike you no matter what you do, you stop caring about their opinion. You stop chasing their approval, and your heart becomes focused entirely on Allah. You say to yourself, as long as Allah is pleased with me, nothing else matters. This is the highest level of sincerity. So my brothers and sisters, when you face hatred for being good, do not see it as a punishment. See it as an exam. Allah is asking you to prove yourself. Allah is giving you a chance to rise higher. Allah is purifying your heart from hidden desires. And if you pass this exam, the reward is not just patience. The reward is closeness to Allah, honor in this world, and eternal reward in the next. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, whoever seeks the pleasure of Allah, even if it displeases people, Allah will be pleased with him and will make the people pleased with him. Remember this hadith. If you seek Allah's pleasure, even when others hate you, Allah will turn hearts in your favor in ways you never expected. And even if He does not, even if people remain against you, it does not matter. Because the pleasure of Allah is worth more than the pleasure of creation. So the next time someone mocks your goodness, the next time you are rejected for your honesty, the next time you are hated for your kindness, ask yourself, who am I doing this for? If the answer is Allah, then smile, because you have passed the test of sincerity. One of the clearest reasons why good people are disliked, opposed, or even hated is because good people refuse to compromise their values. When you stand for what is right, when you live by principles, when you do not bend to the trends of society or the pressure of people around you, you become a mirror to the weakness of others. And not everyone likes that mirror. Some people want you to join them in their wrongdoing so that they feel comfortable in it. But the moment you refuse, they begin to dislike you. Think about it. If a group of people is engaged in corruption and you refuse to participate, your refusal is a silent rebuke to them. You may not say a word, but your honesty says everything. It says, I will not join you in your wrongdoing. And that stings. Because deep down they know they are wrong, but instead of correcting themselves, they would rather dislike you. This is why the upright, the honest, the pure, they often face opposition. Look at the life of the Prophet Joseph, peace be upon him. He was a young man, handsome, dignified, pure of heart. And when he was tested with temptation, when the wife of the governor called him to sin, what did he say? He said, I seek refuge in Allah. He refused to compromise. He refused to give in to desire. He refused to betray the trust of his master and above all the commands of his Lord. What happened as a result? He was thrown into prison. Imagine that. He was innocent, yet he was punished. Why? Because he chose principle over compromise. Because he held on to values when it would have been easier to give them up. And yet Allah raised him in rank. From prison, he was elevated to power. And his story became a lesson for all of mankind until the day of judgment. The same is true for Prophet Moses, peace be upon him. When Pharaoh tried to intimidate him, when the magicians of Pharaoh stood before him with their tricks, Musa did not waver. He held on to his faith in Allah. He refused to compromise the message. And though Pharaoh threatened him, mocked him, and hated him, Musa was steadfast. In the end, it was Musa who succeeded, and it was Pharaoh who was drowned in humiliation. And our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, faced the greatest of these tests. His people came to him and said, if you want wealth, we will give you wealth. If you want leadership, we will make you our leader. If you want women, we will marry you to the best of them. Just stop calling to Islam. What a temptation. Imagine being offered everything, wealth, power, status. But what did the Prophet, peace be upon him, say? He said, by Allah, if they were to place the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left hand to abandon this mission, I would not abandon it until Allah makes it prevail or I perish in it. That is what it means to refuse compromise. That is what it means to be principled. And yes, he was hated for it. He was mocked, boycotted and attacked. But Allah raised him above all of them. My brothers and sisters, this principle applies to our lives today in countless ways. At your workplace, you may be pressured to lie, to cheat, to take shortcuts, to hide the truth. And when you say no, when you refuse to compromise, some people will dislike you. They may even work against you. But that is the price of principle. At school, when you refuse to cheat on an exam while others do, you will stand out. They may mock you for being too strict, but in the sight of Allah, you are honored. In your family, when you refuse to engage in backbiting, when you walk away from gossip, others may call you arrogant, self-righteous or boring. But in reality, you are simply choosing principle over compromise. When you hold on to modesty in a world that promotes shamelessness, when you lower your gaze while others freely indulge, some may mock you. But remember, their mockery is not proof of your weakness. It is proof of your strength. And we must remember, compromise in values is not only about major sins. It can also be about the small daily choices we make. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us, the most beloved deeds to Allah are those done consistently, even if they are small. That means when you stick to praying on time, when you stick to honesty in speech, when you stick to halal in your income, when you stick to kindness even with those who are rude to you, you are showing that you will not compromise, not even in small things. And that irritates those who live in compromise daily. This is why the Prophet, peace be upon him, described the believers as people who are firm like a tree. Storms may come, winds may blow, but the tree stands tall because its roots are deep. Similarly, a believer who refuses to compromise is grounded in faith. Yes, people may hate him for it. Yes, society may pressure him, but he remains firm because he knows Allah is watching. And here is something powerful to remember. Refusing to compromise values is not arrogance. It is not stubbornness for the sake of ego. It is humility before Allah. It is submission to His commands. When you say, I will not lie, I will not cheat, I will not harm others, I will not disobey Allah, you are not saying it out of pride. You are saying it out of fear and love of Allah. And when people hate you for that, they are not hating you. They are hating what you represent. So do not let their hatred shake you. Do not let their pressure weaken you. Because compromise may win you temporary acceptance, but it will lose you the pleasure of Allah. And what is the point of being loved by people if you are displeasing your Creator? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told us, whoever seeks the pleasure of Allah, even if it displeases the people, Allah will be pleased with him, and He will make the people pleased with him. And whoever seeks the pleasure of people at the expense of displeasing Allah, Allah will be displeased with him, and He will make the people displeased with him. My brothers and sisters, the path of principle is never easy. It is the path of prophets, the path of the righteous, the path of the sincere. It comes with trials, with hatred, with rejection, but it also comes with dignity, with honor, with the love of Allah. And when you die, It is not the applause of people that will matter. It is whether you stood firm upon the values Allah commanded you to uphold. So the next time you feel pressured to compromise, remind yourself of Yusuf in prison, of Musa before Pharaoh, of Muhammad.